Paul Morphy was one of the greatest chess players of all time, and that is why with this video I'm starting a new chess series called as the Paul Morphy's Best Games. So here is the first game. Morphy was playing with the black pieces and his opponent was Paulsen. Paulsen was a German chess player and was considered as one of the top chess players of his time. So let's begin this interesting chess match, which was played in the New York City in the year 1857. White starts the game with e4, e5, knight f3 attacks the pawn, Paul defends it with knight to c6, and now knight to c3, knight f6, we are seeing the 4 knights game, and now bishop to b5, bishop to c5, both sides are developing the bishops, and now both sides are castling, and now here Louis plays knight takes e5. The idea here is that if Paul captures back this knight, then white can fort black's pieces with the move d4. So therefore, Paul did not capture back this knight and instead decides to activate his rook. So he plays rook to e8, bringing the rook on the semi-open file and attacking the knight as well. Louis plays knight takes knight, d takes knight, attacking the bishop, and bishop moves to c4. Louis wants to maintain his bishop on this active diagonal, aiming at black's king side. And now you must be thinking that hey, Paul has a chance to capture this free pawn over here because it is being double attacked by black's pieces and is protected only once. But Paul cannot capture this pawn right now, because if he does, then that would be a mistake, because after knight takes pawn, white can play a tactical sacrifice bishop takes f7 check. If king takes bishop, then knight takes knight, rook takes knight, and now white gets a chance to fort black's pieces with the move queen to f3 check. Both the king and the rook are under attack. Black would block the check with his queen and now the rook is gone. And this would give white tremendous advantage in the game. So therefore, Paul did not hurry to capture that free pawn. He was aware of this tactical sacrifice, and that is why he first decided to get rid of this bishop from this diagonal over here. And that is why he played the move b5, attacking the bishop. Bishop moved to e2, and now Paul captured the e4 pawn. Knight takes knight, rook takes knight, bishop f3, attacking the rook as well as laser beaming this pawn over here which is undefended. So the rook moved to the e6 square in order to defend this pawn. And now Louis played c3. The idea is to play d4 so as to take control of the center squares as well as attack this bishop, and most importantly close this diagonal for this bishop which is eyeing white's king side. Paul quickly realized the idea behind this move and he was really not happy with the idea of the d4 move. So therefore, in order to stop that move as well as take advantage of this hole which has formed in the white's territory, because as you can see none of the white pawns can control the square. So therefore, black here played queen to d3, getting his queen to the d3 square which is a hole in the white's territory as well as stopping white's idea of playing d4. White starts to attack from the queen side and he plays b4, attacking first the bishop, asking him to leave this important diagonal. But Paul doesn't leave the diagonal and he moves his bishop to the b6 square, still eyeing the weak f2 pawn and the king. Now Louis gets restless and aggressive and he plays a4. So what's the idea behind this move? Well, the most important thing is he's asking black to give up his b pawn, because if black doesn't give up his pawn, then white can just trap this black's dark squared bishop with the move a5. So Paul was forced to take this pawn. So pawn takes pawn, queen takes pawn, and now white is very happy that he has created some weakness in black's territory, because black now has double isolated pawns. And as you can see, both this bishop and the queen are together eyeing this weak c6 pawn. So Paul plays bishop to d7, developing his light squared bishop as well as adding one more defense to this pawn. An important thing to note here is that instead of bishop to d7, a better move over here would have been bishop to b7, because that way that bishop could have controlled this long diagonal aiming at white's king side. White plays rook to a2. I have no idea why this move is played. I don't see any purpose. Probably one possible reason that I can think of is maybe Louis was planning to get his queen over here on the c2 square so that it can trade off queens, or at least force this black king to give control of this square. So rook to a2 by Louis, and Paul double ups his rook on the e file, creating a battery, and here Louis plays queen to a6, asking for a trade of queens. And why exactly is he doing that? Because as you can see, all of black's pieces are creating a lot of pressure on white's king side. Both these bishops are eyeing at white's king side. Both the rooks have taken a strong control of this open file and are ready to jump on the e1 square to create some havoc at white's back rank. This queen is already eyeing at this rook, is controlling this square at the back rank, or it can jump on this side of the board and come up with some other deadly plans to launch an attack on white's king. So white is totally sensing some danger over here and he doesn't want to take a chance, and the best way to diffuse any attack is to trade pieces. So that is why Louis played queen to a6, offering an exchange of queens, the strongest piece on the board. And here was the key moment, because Morphy took about 12 minutes over his next move, because he was planning a deadly sacrifice in order to force a win in every variation. So before I show you the next move, I'm going to give you 5 seconds to think, to take a guess as to what Morphy played in the game. So Morphy came up with a brilliant sacrifice, and that is queen takes bishop. Now why did he make such a sacrifice? What's the idea behind this? Well, the key idea is that after pawn captures queen, this g file would be wide open for black's pieces to attack the white's king. And here it how it went. Rook g6 check, king h1 is forced, and now bishop to h3, not only attacking the rook but also taking key control of the square g2. The combination of this bishop and the rook together eyeing this g2 square is a deadly one. The rook cannot move to the g1 square, otherwise white will lose in 3 moves, because rook takes rook check, king takes rook, and now rook to e1 check, queen blocks, and now rook takes queen would be a checkmate. So therefore, the best move for white over here is to play queen to d3, because if bishop takes rook, then the queen can take back, giving up an exchange but at least saving the game for white. Another idea for playing queen to d3, because this queen is now eyeing this g6 rook over here and can get rid of this rook at any point of time in the game if it gets too deadly for the white king. But in the actual game, Louis missed this good move and instead focused on saving his rook. So he played rook to d1, but that was a big blunder, because moving the only defender of the king side away from white's king worsened white's game and led to a forced checkmate, starting with bishop g2 check, king moved to g1, which is forced, and now bishop takes f3 check, king f1 is forced, and now bishop g2 check again, king g1 is forced, and now bishop h3 check, king to h1, and now bishop takes pawn. White is threatening to checkmate on the g2 square, so black doesn't have a lot of options. So black played queen to f1, absolutely forced. So bishop takes queen, rook takes bishop, and now the quiet move rook to e2, getting the rook on the second rank, and the idea is to target the weak h2 pawn in the subsequent moves. White played rook to a1 and now rook to h6, putting more pressure on this pawn. White played d4, doesn't have a lot of options, and now bishop to e3, getting the bishop out of the way of the rook. So this pawn is now under double attack and black is threatening checkmate over here, and there is no way white can defend it. If bishop takes bishop, then rook takes pawn check, king moves, and the other rook can simply checkmate the white's game. Let's go back. If white tries to give away his rook, then white would end up losing a lot of material and the checkmate would be delayed by further moves. So rook takes rook, bishop takes bishop, rook takes pawn check, king moves, rook h1 check, king moves, rook takes rook, bishop takes rook, pawn takes bishop, and here we have reached a situation that black is up in material by 8 points with a couple of passed pawns. So this is an easy win. Let's go back. And if black here tries to play any other move, let's say h3 or c4 or b5, then even that won't help either. For example, if he plays h3, then rook takes pawn would be a checkmate. So therefore, at this point of time, Louis Paulsen resigned in the game. Do like this video and subscribe to my channel if you learned something new today. And now it's time for the question of the day. So here is an interesting situation on the board. White here is up in material by 4 points. And currently, he is attacking the undefended rook on the e8 square. So what should black play here? Should he try to defend this rook or trade these rooks? Or is there a better plan that white can execute? So let me know your answers in the comments box, and I'll see you in the next video.